Two enormous wins, a really huge one that Miami impressed the college football world, certainly, and still rolling now into the semifinal to take on Ole Miss for a spot in the 2025-26 National Championship game. That's got to sound great to all in the chat. Welcome into Miami Hurricanes live right here at the Voice of College Football, presented by FanDuel. And if you would bet on the Canes for the last two times out, especially the last one, you would be sitting pretty in regards to any kind of money line or against the spread, whatever it would have been. If it would have been Miami, it would have come up all winners. Cam Underwood, of course, stated to you right next to me, as always. Cam, how you doing tonight?
I am doing exceedingly well, Mark. I am glad to be here with everybody. And yeah, man, we have more current year football to be played by the Miami Hurricanes, one of four remaining teams pursuing this year's national championship. Feels good. Feels great. I like it. I love it. I want some more of it. I don't know what else to say, man. But good to be here. Glad to have a game to break down and another game to play and another opportunity to go out and, earn victory towards our goal of a championship.
So, of course, with a national semifinal just 24 hours away, of course, that is going to be the focus. But obviously, the efforts against Ohio State in the previous game are too enormous and too dominant to ignore. So, of course, we're going to spend some time there as well. So, I watched the game this afternoon, and Miami was a better team for certainly the first quarter into the second quarter. And you can make an argument that Ohio State played better in the second quarter, maybe near the end of the second quarter, and the third quarter into the fourth quarter. And then I don't think Miami was reeling in any such way, but obviously it was a touch and go 17-14. Ohio State got the ball a couple times in that position to take the lead. And Miami finished with resounding force. With the offensive line taking control a number of times throughout the game, but certainly on that final 5 minutes, marching down the field and putting the capper on with a minute left. So ball games are won at the line of scrimmage, and Miami certainly was testament to that.
Yeah. Ohio State had the ball one time at 17-14.
Okay.
So, yeah, I mean, and I had to go back and look because I was like, I didn't remember they had it more than once. Yeah, so touchdown, 6-play drive, and then a punt from Miami that took 3-12, and then, the final punt drive from Ohio State, and then, the touchdown drive, just to clean that up. And really more from my recollection than anything else. But, yeah, no, this was really the perfect embodiment of what – like, if Miami were to win, this is how it was going to go. We're winning up front on both lines. You win the turnover battle, like I said, in, the keys to victory, which, also presented by FanDuel. So I talked about the odds and things there. You win up front on both sides of the ball. You win the turnover battle. You take one of those turnovers and turn it into direct points, right, with the pick six and everything. So, yeah, this was the blueprint in action, right? This was the plan made real. So, yeah, and it was really, I thought Miami had the edge up front. I did not think it was going to be the wild disparity that it was. I mean, it was like from the first third down of the game, when we put Mesidor and Bain next to each other, ran a twist, also brought somebody, and then we lined up like 6 guys who could rush. And all 4 of them were from the center to the right guard or right tackle and got home clean on the first third down. I said, well, hold on now. If this is what we're doing, oh, buddy, wait a minute. Like, this is that changes everything. Because I expected, there was a measure of Jeremiah's down there, so let's throw that post route. We were sitting on that, and Xavier Lucas is like a sub-11 guy in the 100 in high school. And he just opened up and ran. It wasn't like it was a double move. He just ran right by him. So like, there was that. But yeah, no, like back to the point of the question, man. Yeah, up front was really just dominant. And we took away a lot of the things that Ohio State wanted to do offensively and defensively. You know, who was the linebacker? Alvaro Reese, rushing. Mark Fletcher ate his lunch in pass pro every single time. Langdon Trenwell, I believe his name is, Landon Trengwell is a former offensive lineman who's now getting into content and coming in hot at the top of the game. This guy knows his stuff and is very good with the content that he creates. And he made a cut up of Mark Fletcher as the best pass protection running back in America based on that game. And yeah, just ate their lunch. Who was it? Sonny Styles hadn't missed a tackle all year till Mark Fletcher. Like it was just all of the things where it's like, okay, this is what Ohio State's going to do. This is what they bring to the table. And this is how they're going to leverage those things to victory. Miami took away and then dominated in the reverse all of those matchups. So, man, it was a sight for sore eyes. It was great to see as we get started. Falconer, going to throw up the X for the early super sticker. And then to the follow-up question, how did that crow taste? Delicious. Immaculate. It was nice and charred, barbecued, like it was some quail. That crow, that humble pie. I warmed it up a la mode. And I mean, hey, look, these are the things, you know. So yeah, I was watching it from that, and like I didn't want to say it during the game, even though I know the jinxes aren't necessarily a thing. I just didn't want to hear anybody's mouth. I felt very confident we were going to win on. As soon as I saw the throw on the pick six, I said, "That's the ball game. We're not losing. We're not losing." You know, and there are, you know, I consume a ridiculous amount of YouTube content, and there are some college football video game creators. One in particular, Bordeaux, was a Kentucky fan, but he did a FIU rebuild, and in a single season, I believe he had 13 pick sixes where he jumped bubble screens with his user linebacker edge play, the Keionte Scott-ish player, jumped those and kept returning them for touch. And I was like, is this a simulation? Like, am I watching a Bordeaux video again? Like, literally, I had to pause myself because I'd only seen that in a video game type of a thing, you know? Yeah, no, it was truly incredible. It was a performance for the ages. Wasn't, you know, fully as dominant as it could have been. You know, you get a turnover inside the red zone on the first drive or second drive with the fumble. Great play to knock that ball out. Then you have a drive that gets to the 30, and then we had two plays where we lost our mind and go backwards and further backwards. I'm not going to tell you how to count those, but anywhere between 3 and 14 points were left on the field right there. And in a lot of these instances, I'm going to wrap it up here, Miami would find ways to lose those games where you had those things that didn't go the way. But we were a pack of hunting dogs, and they couldn't block us up front. They couldn't leverage anything in the run game on that last drive. Biggest win in a quarter century, and we continue to play football.
Well, I can't disagree with any of that. The sheer numbers, though, it's kind of strange because at the end of the first quarter, it was like 110-10. It was like wasn't even close. At the conclusion of the game, Ohio State outgained Miami by about 40 yards, I think was the number. It was about 40 yards. And obviously Miami, the ball for the final, 50 to 60 yards, longer than that. They scored the touchdown with like 50 seconds left. That was about a 70-yard drive. So Ohio State outgained them by like 210 or 20 yards in between end of first quarter, final drive. It didn't feel like that. It didn't seem like it.
I mean, it was a lot of it was empty calories, honestly. You know, it was a lot of yards between the, you know, I don't even say 20s because they didn't get down there that much, but it was like basically you can have a lot of yards up until the 20. Like, cool. Like, counting stats are great. You know, but then as I leave the stats up for this very reason, 3 out of 10 on third down for Ohio State and 7 out of 14 for Miami, and then 1 out of 1 on 4th down for both. So 8 out of 15 on money downs for Miami and 4 out of 11 for Ohio State. There's your ball game. But when you're able to do what Miami did in those big moments, okay, like get a chunk here, get a chunk there, hit a 60-yard play to Jeremiah Smith, and then we're going to get a sack on the next play. You're going to go quick, and then we're going to have a pick six, boom, boom, boom. What 60-yard play? You know what I mean? Like, you just erase it. So, yeah, it was and we could do fun with numbers and things. I mean, obviously, Ohio State was not able to run the ball against Miami. 45 yards, and even if you take out the 42 on sacks, that's what, 87 non-sack yards. If you because it was 42 yards on 5 sacks, and that's the other thing, man. All those sacks were huge yardage against Sayin too. It wasn't like a sack of 1 or a sack of 2. So basically half of your rushing offense that you actually gained, or that they actually gained, was lost in sack yardage. That's massive. So yeah, it was really dominant up front, took away the run game, owned the money downs, and then when we had to have it in our money down situations, Shannon Dawson was dialing it up. And then take the bubble wrap off of Marty Brown, who hadn't played since Pitt, and you're like, well, is this guy going to be discouraged or ready for the moment? And that just speaks to the mentality of this team. Truly, truly, truly proud of this performance, and really excited to have the opportunity for another one.
The two backs did go 18 for 86.
Mm-hmm. That's what I'm saying. It was 45 total, but you had to remove the 42 sack yards. That was my point. Yeah.
So they ran the ball okay. The defensive pass rush was that was the difference in the game. That it was just devastating. They couldn't pass protect, and Sayin got better as the game progressed in terms of handling it, but he didn't do a very good job. Carson Beck didn't have some outstanding football game, but he did a lot of things that Julian Sayin didn't do in terms of just handling the offense, picking up first downs with his legs. He ran very effectively.
Woo! I'm so sorry. On that final drive, on 3rd and 11, when Carson Beck said, body on the line, hell or high water, 2 defenders between me and the line. Gabby Urrutia, I like Miami here. What? Put his shoulder down and ran through the chest of 2 dudes? That, honestly, I'm surprised I didn't get a noise complaint in my apartment from that one. That one was, I was like,
yeah.
I mean,
he wanted it.
Y'all know that, I'm a vocalist and trained singer. I remember, long story short, I got mad at somebody at Miramar because they tried my face in the public office, in like the front office, and I was screaming, and people heard me through concrete walls in other parts of the building and came in to see what was going, because I had cranked it up to like 47. Like, I was loud. Brother, that was like half as loud as I was on that one. I was, woo, buddy, that play right there. I said, whatever you paid Carson Beck, whatever it was, the entire amount was validated on that single play. All the other things that he's done this year have been great. All the other throws, hey, look, even after that, he had a throw to Marty Brown on a 3rd down. That was key after that play. But that 3rd and 11, that's legend type shit. That's the kind of stuff I was talking about from Carson Beck. And do I want 80-yard bombs every throw? Who doesn't? That right there is a legend-making play. That's the kind of play I've been looking. That kind of play is the play that changes the trajectory of a program, right? And I said that on all these 3rd downs. I said that's because maybe I used my words wrong on stateoftheu.com, the website, right? Maybe by saying I need a legend game from Carson Beck, I was evoking 466 yards and 8 touchdowns, or 5 touchdowns that Stephen Morris threw against NC State. But there are ways to have that kind of impactful performance in other moments. And each one of those moments, I kept putting it out there. And even with all those other ones, that 3rd and 11 run by Carson Beck through 2 dudes' faces, oh, chef's kiss. Just incredible.
because otherwise, I think that was right about midfield, 50-yard line, I believe.
I don't think so. I think that was. Hold on, let me go because that was on. Let me go to this.
Well, regardless, if they come up and, if this is a regular season game, Carson Beck probably is giving up the football on a 4th and 3. And they're punting, and not that their defense couldn't hold. Their defense did the job almost the entire night, but it would have been Ohio State football, maybe their own 23 minutes left.
Yeah, that was 3rd and 11 from the 24. So like that got to the Miami 35.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like that was.
Yeah. So they're punting from roughly the 32 or 33. And Ohio State probably takes over at their own 25 or so.
And actually, I had that conflated. We actually punted after that. That was not on the final touchdown drive. That was early in the fourth quarter.
Yeah.
But still, that was So that was the drive after your touchdown, after the Ohio State touchdown. Then Ohio State had a drive and then punted, and then Miami won it on the next drive. Even still, with that minor recall error, that 3rd and 11, man, just whew. And then we go down and win it later. But yeah, just a truly incredible performance. Shout out to everybody who stepped up in that game. Obviously, like Texas A&M, Ohio State said, "You are not beating us with Malachi Toney. Figure it out. Whoever else you got, get them." So shout out to them for being able to, manage Toney and, mitigate his impact and things like that. But shout out to, young Mark Fletcher for, his running. Shout out to Carson Beck for, not a huge statistical evening, but, an incredibly accurate, game, 73% completions. CJ Daniels and Keelan Marion with some real big catches and big moments. And then, just enough wrinkles. You get the touchdown pass to Mark Fletcher, who, I was watching a highlight on YouTube, more YouTube content consuming by other people. But looking back at all of the touchdowns this year, I think Mark Fletcher has 3 or 4 receiving touchdowns. I'm like, I didn't remember it being that much. You know what I mean? But like in the low red zone, he's a guy that we can and have thrown to. And even you look back at last year, same kind of a thing. But then, you come out with a wrinkle on fake QB power and just, flip it out there. And we had not thrown the ball from that 7 offensive lineman look with Carson Beck. We did it on a Mallycat throw from him to Elijah Lofton. But again, wrinkles on wrinkles and bringing them out and executing in big moments. Yeah, just a masterpiece. Just a masterpiece.
Yeah, I got to say, my take going into this game, I can't really explain this. It may not make a whole lot of sense, but my head said Ohio State was a better team. My heart, we know where that is. But my gut was very uneasy, whatever that means. And my gut's been wrong in the past. But
shoot, my gut was that Miami would lose, and clearly that was wrong. Keionte take him to the deep end and see if they can swim. Scott, Keionte Scott, just first of all, got robbed for at least being a finalist for the Thorpe Award. Like, I know that he got injured and missed a couple games, but like, look at the dude's impact. This is the thing where like you can play fun with numbers and over the course of 12 games, he didn't play 12 games. You know what I mean? But like that, and I didn't even catch it on the pick 6 from the angle. He actually did the Jim Thorpe Award pose in the end zone. That's what he first hit before he went to go celebrate. And I saw it on a different angle, and he was like, yeah. And he's been adamant since his comeback. He's done this and this. Too much talking on the net. Get on the turf and do something. There it is. And yeah, he's been everything and more that we could have ever wanted. Miami brought in, and we talked about it in the summer, we brought in Charles Brantley, Venice native, Venice, Florida, brought him back home, or I think somewhere up the coast anyway, but brought him back to South Florida, second team all conference at Michigan State twice, things like that, thinking, oh, he's going to play slot. Had an injury or a little bit of a personal comportment issue or whatever. Keionte Scott transfers in the next week. Charles Brantley doesn't play a snap, and he's in the transfer portal today. And I'm like, and again, at the time we talked about it, I was like, this is the guy who's going to play nickel. This is what he does. He didn't play a snap. I mean, he played a couple snaps this year. But, like, tell me a snap you remember Charles Brantley playing. You can't, because Keionte Scott was that dude. And, just, yeah, I mean, really, really great stuff. I know this is not the point of conversation. It'll be really interesting to see what happens specifically, well, for me, looking at Miami, with only one portal window this year, because Mo Toure, I believe, definitely Keionte Scott and Jacoby Thomas all came in the second portal window, guys. Right? So now imagine that. I think Toure might have been earlier, and he was still rehabbing from an injury. But still, take Keionte Scott and Jacoby Thomas off this team. I'm going to tell you like this here. We're not playing for a national semifinal tomorrow night if that happens. So it'll be really interesting to see. But, I don't want to get into the portal stuff. Jake Marcus on the website wrote a thing and basically said, we're focused on this. You see other guys going into the portal. The process is still ongoing. People can still enter for another 9 days. We'll be all right, but we're focused on the task at hand. But yeah, no, Keionte Scott, can't speak highly enough of him at all. And I really do believe that he got robbed for, if not winning the Thorpe Award, at least being a finalist, and all of the associated all-conference, all-American, all those major accolades. I really think he got paid short shrift because he got injured. And it's a damn shame, because that kid is incredible.
Yeah, I can't add to that, but my goodness, he is a playmaker. He is a wrecking crew on a defense that has a few. Paolo, appreciate you being here at the Voice of College Football. Of course, Trajan Bandy's pick 6 versus Notre Dame may now rest.
See, I had this conversation, or somebody asked which one was like the more memorable. They were both incredible, right? But the high of the Bandy pick 6 in 2017 against Notre Dame was so much higher. Of that moment in a vacuum by itself. I believe that the Keionte Scott one was more impactful because it put us on a path to win a national quarterfinal game. You're not getting any disagreement there. But the magnitude of the moment itself, I was in the stands that day against Notre Dame. We were, me and my boy Matt, shout out to Silencer, were sitting next to me. He was sitting next to me. He got the tickets. We were sitting next to 2 octogenarian Notre Dame fans in the front row. I was not in the section with the sister of the kid. It's too loud. But they were definitely embodying that too. I've said it a million times. Ed Reed was in the middle of an interview with Maria Taylor, left her with the microphone, hopped over the little partition, because this is before the renovation inside of Hard Rock, remember, and came and dapped up everybody in my row. So I'm dapping up Ed Reed, watching Trajan Bandy go up the opposing sideline. Brother, that was an all-time. I will always remember where I was in that moment. And you as a Miami Hurricanes fan will remember that too. You'll remember the Keionte Scott one. And yes, it had more impact in a bigger game, in a bigger spot nationally. I am not going to disagree with you. But like the magnitude of the moment, break out the chain again. It's got to be Bandy. It has to be Bandy.
I guess I'm not understanding everything you stated about the Keionte Scott play and then say magnitude of the moment. I thought that is in the Keionte Scott play.
So like the Keionte Scott play is more impactful towards earning a championship. And for that, it gets elite status. But the moment of everything together, You're at home. You had just had a game against Virginia Tech on ABC. You have the national game. It's Notre Dame. They had Josh Adams and 33 trucking, and they're all out there, their whole staff cursing and carrying on. Fuck these motherfuckers. We're going to run it down their fucking face. The offensive coordinator on the field. That's not even my words, guys. I wasn't cursing. That's what that gentleman who represents the University of Notre Dame said. And everything that goes along with that. You had game day on campus for the first time in umpteen years. You had Drake doing the God's Plan video that same week on campus. You had it, everything all told. And culminating with that, and you almost had an interception on the play before, and then you run it again, and Bandy said, hey, I'm looking at Ian Book. I don't care, because he's going to come here with the ball again, and I got it. And just the, what do they call it? The crowd pop, the sound of the raw as it happened, like the whole, like the moment, like living that moment together with everyone in that stadium, all of our Hurricanes fans, in that massive spot just hits me harder. And I know it sounds crazy because the Keionte Scott play was in the national quarterfinal, and you said, Cam, well, once you saw that, you knew that Miami wasn't, or you thought that Miami wasn't going to lose. All of that is true. The Bandy one just is in rare air for me. It just is. I'm sorry, guys. I know, Paulo, we can disagree. I love them both. They're like my kids if I were to have them. I love them, but in different ways.
I think I'm right in saying my initial take from your response was there's more of an emotional tie.
Yeah. Sure. Yes, absolutely.
Objectively, the Keionte Scott play, it's a playoff game.
Oh, yeah.
It may end as a national championship season. Versus a 3-loss season that ended in a disappointing fashion.
Correct.
It's against the defending national champion.
Correct.
All those things.
Yes. Yeah. Only game on New Year's Eve night. Yes. True. So, I mean, if I were to, list them in terms of like importance, Keionte Scott, emotion and impact for me and the fan base. Well, and just me. I can't even say the fan base because I know some people agree with me and some people clearly don't. But yeah.
I never tell people how to feel about anything. Whatever they rate is most important to them or their favorite player. Their favorite player could be the worst player on the team. None of those things are objective.
Yeah.
That's why we're fans.
Yeah.
And Falconer X, Miami mollywopped OSU.
Yeah, I get that it was like only a 10-point game on the scoreboard, but like, yeah, this was a game of just body shots. Just, right cross, left cross, just body blows, man. And yeah, and especially when it's in the run game, when it's in the pass rush and, for the large part rush defense, game, it was, we physically beat them up.
Cam Underwood, State of the U, and myself getting together as we always do, talk Miami football Wednesdays, 7 p.m. Eastern time. And of course, we are just 24 hours away from kickoff, roughly 7:30 against Ole Miss in the national semifinal, as both teams pulled off upsets in the previous game. Of course, Ole Miss outlasting Georgia in the best game of the weekend, 39-34. And Miami is finally a favorite, 3.5 points. Pretty much across the board in this one against Ole Miss. So, What are your initial impressions of the Rebels?
Good team, man. And they are, like Miami, playing some of their best football. It is a different kind of offense. And that in and of itself is a thing that presents issues. It's this, it's like when Paul Johnson was at Georgia Tech and they were running that, wing triple. You don't see offenses of this kind often. And they have a dynamic quarterback, Trinidad Chambliss, came up from Ferris State, which I believe is in the state of Michigan. So shout out to Michigan and everything. But yeah, he's playing really, really great football. Miami as a 3.5-point favorite, I think that fits. I think that we should be favorites in this game. It's incumbent upon us to go out there and earn victory. but they have a strong run game, and they definitely love to go tempo, and that's the main thing. So just like with USF, and I know that Ole Miss and USF are not the same, but we played USF this season, so there is a similar offensive scheme that we have faced and dealt with well already. So we're going to look at some of those same things. We're going to tweak some things, obviously, because they don't run exactly the same kind of an offense. Obviously, Byron Brown was more integrated to the run game than is Trinidad Chambliss. It's more on Keionte Lacey, the running back, who's very, very, very good, in the running game. But yeah, no, and they have big athletes along the defensive line. They're big and strong and athletic. They got good wide receivers and everything. So yeah, they do present issues, but they also give opportunities for Miami to create plays in the vertical pass game that have not necessarily been there against previous opponents. In the run game, for sure, Ole Miss is definitely a team you can get on the ground or with the ground game. So Miami with a stable of running backs can be able to do that. There's a lot to this. I think that Miami's going to have to, and I mean, we make it every week, but your rush plan on defense is going to have to be different with Trinidad Chambliss than it was with Julian Sand, right? So, for example, there were several plays where Marquise Lightfoot, who I shouted out on The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly because he was incredible in that game, got up the field and would just kind of bend the edge around his blocker and end up behind Julian Sand, which would then force Julian Sand to step up, and then there's other guys pushing the pocket from the middle, and you get some sacks and some quarterback hits there. With Trinidad Chambliss, who's somebody who's more versed and adept at maneuvering in and out of the pocket to extend plays, to specifically make you cover longer so he can throw the ball down the field, you're probably not going to have that rush that goes past the level of the quarterback. You're going to get upfield and need to shut it down so you stay at his level so you don't get up the field and then create lanes for him to step up in. So that's just one minor tweak of scheme that I'm looking for. But I like this matchup. I love the way that we're playing. And, as, hinted at up top, in case you guys are just coming in now, yes, I had my charbroiled crow and my a la mode humble pie because I was wrong, in predicting that Miami would lose. But I am not predicting Miami will lose again this season. So whether that's this game only or however many games are left, I'm picking Miami to win. I love the matchup. I love the way that our team is flowing. And you get guys back from injury too. Yeah, I feel good about where we are. And if we do the things that we need to do in the way that we have been doing them and can do them, I think that we have a very good chance of earning victory.
Vegas does not like to make SEC teams underdogs if you check out bowl play, postseason play across the board. So this is kind of rare that an SEC team is an underdog. I don't know that there has been one yet in the postseason, but I do think that Miami is, I don't want to say earned. They just look like the better team or playing slightly better. Because of the defensive disparity between the two teams. And Ole Miss has athletes on defense, but they're not a razor, just sharp, tight, dominant defense. They're a good defense. They're going to have to play much better. They're going to have to play much more stout up front, and they're going to have to tackle better than what they showed against Georgia. That's for sure.
Yeah, all of those things I agree with. So yeah, I mean, I understand, FanDuel and others leaning, with Miami being a short favorite here, but a reasonable on. This is literally the neutral field that we're talking about, guys. So like on a neutral field, what would it be like? This is, so not even a boost for being at home or in our home stadium versus their home stadium. Like these are the kind of naked ratings of the teams in their eyes and everything. I think that that's reasonable. And yeah, Miami can go out and earn victory. There's some keys to that, and you can check out my piece about the keys to victory on staywithyou.com if you want to know more. I'm
not much on over-unders. Some people are, but this is obviously two teams that are playing much different styles of football as it pertains to the scoreboard. Miami, Texas A&M, 13 points. Miami, Ohio State, 38 points.
Mhm.
And then you got, of course, Ole Miss and Georgia putting up 73. And that's the way Ole Miss has played football. Obviously, they are still built in the Lane Kiffin mold on offense, and they like to sling it around, and their defense isn't necessarily airtight. But so you get these contrasting styles, and obviously championship matchups are made by styles.
Yeah, styles make fights, and this is going to be interesting because, yeah, especially offensively, these teams are definitely built very differently. And the way that they play football on offense is not the same, and that's okay because there's more than one way to skin a cat. But yeah, I'm definitely interested in looking at that and seeing how things go. Dirty Kane thing says Miami 38, Ole Miss 17. I would sign me up. Sign me up. Short, like just a little bit on the over of the number of 52.5, but definitely covering the 3.5. I don't necessarily see it going that way. I think, and this is a stat that I had, I just want to be sure that I get it correct. For the University of Mississippi, they have scored, let me just do some quick maths. So they scored 4 times against LSU and Washington State, one of those each being field goals. In each other game, they've scored at least 5 times. So that's why I'm thinking somewhere in the 5, and again, not touchdowns, scores, right? So they're getting into the red zone or getting into scoring range and then scoring the ball 5 times, whether it's touchdowns or field goals. So I think 17, only 3 scores, feels light to me, even with the way that the Miami defense is playing, because the Ole Miss offense is also playing at a high level. I see them scoring 4 to 5 times. Now, you can do the math as you want on that, right? So now if they score 4 times and it's 2 field goals and 2 touchdowns, hey, then I think that you're really in a good spot. But yeah, somewhere between 4 and 5 scores for them over the course of an 11, 12 possession game, I think is where I am, especially just because they have done it in every game save 2 where they scored 4 times. They have not scored fewer than 4 times in any game this year. So is it possible that Miami is the defense that puts them into a lack of scoring holistically and in terms of just, timing of score, like how many times they scored? Could Miami's defense put them into that position? Absolutely they could. Absolutely they could. But with 13 games evidence on the contrary, or 14 games, to the contrary already this season, and couple that with how well they're playing on offense and giving credit and respect to our opponent because we're one of the Final Four, so clearly you got here by doing something right. 17 and only 3 scores total in the game feels light for this team, for the way that for Ole Miss's offense, the way that they're playing, and then the massive, gigantic Rock of Gibraltar chip on their shoulder because their head coach left them, and even other coaches are now, as of today, being said that they are not returning. They're staying in Baton Rouge because they've signed, executed contracts with Louisiana State University. So it's like, it is what it is. I know that the calendar needs to change. They made the choice that worked for them. Their current employer, who is not the team playing in this game, said, we got work on Thursday in Baton Rouge. And then there's an event after work. And then Friday morning, you're expected to be here. All right. Sharon and the kids are looking at houses anyway. They're in the university-provided domicile for now while we're looking for our own thing. Like, it is what it is. But, but just with that massive chip on their shoulder, I understand. And they have also played very, very well. And they're a very, very talented team. And we respect all of our opponents. We fear none of them. And I do believe that Miami's going to win.
College football has to be the oddest combination of mega corporation, big brand, billions of dollars, and just this random mess of rules, guidelines that don't apply, do apply. Are we going to look the other way? Who knows? We'll do it different next year. We better fix this, tweak that. Teams that are in the semifinal for the national championship won't have the coaching staff intact. That's obscene. I don't feel bad for them because I'm not rooting for them, but I just think it's just not a good situation. It's just not right. There should have been a decision made before the playoffs start with the assumption that this team is going to play in a national championship game. Therefore, there needs to be a commitment one way or the other, not probably lose to Georgia and we'll be off the hook. And we tried to help you out.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, look, this is what I talk about with fourth downs. You have to evaluate the process and be comfortable with the result of whatever it is, So like if you're going to go, make a good play call, but like same thing, like, hey, I mean, for Lane, who cares? Because he got it in his contract with LSU. Whatever Ole Miss does, I'm getting paid for under the terms of my old contract. So he's still getting bonuses for every win in every game and whatnot. No matter for him, but yeah, it just the calendar kind of hamstrung the whole situation, and it's you hate to see it, but that's immaterial to the game. We got to go out there. We got to make plays, go win.
Super chats. We got Zach here with feel like a Lightfoot and Tony type of game.
I'm with it. Cool. Let's get it. And I mean, if somebody else were to say, I feel like this is a Fletcher and Justin Scott kind of game. Cool. Let's go get it. But if that's your gut feeling, Zach, I'm with it. Let's go make it happen.
Appreciate you, accountability 24/7. Miami's going to give them some real headaches. They've made it this far with their regular season game playing against Tulane and Georgia, but I don't think they'll know how to handle Miami.
An interesting point made there because, yeah, their first two opponents have been rematches from games previously in this season with both Tulane in the opening round, who they played early in the season, and then Georgia, who they lost to in the middle of the year. That's an interesting point that I had not considered, that they're actually playing somebody new. Yeah. So, I mean, that is true. And they had film of this opponent and, performance against their previous opponents to lean on and tweak things and da-da-da. Accountability, you make a really, really, really good point. One that I'm going to have to, ponder and maybe even write about later this evening. But, that's a really, really good point.
And if you look at the two performances against those teams, they were very similar to the regular season performance. Ole Miss beat Tulane 41-10, 45-10.
Yep.
Very similar outcomes. And then the Georgia games were both shootouts. Neither team could stop the other. Just pretty much inverse the who was hot in the fourth quarter, because the first time around it was Georgia down by 8, coming back 17 straight. Win at the end, and I thought that was a precursor to Georgia winning this game, but I was wrong, and Ole Miss was the hot hand, and of course Chambliss was phenomenal, especially in the fourth quarter, putting up 362 through the air. And the matchup against that Miami pass rush is just going to be crazy to consider. I tend to think that over the long course of a 3.5-hour football game, for him to be improvising, he'll make his plays, but for the risk reward, I think, leans heavy on a serious playmaking defense to corral the guy. There's 11 of them. There's only one of him. Obviously, it's not matched up like that. But I just think sooner or later, there's going to be a mistake made.
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, look, I hope it's sooner and later that Trinidad Chambliss makes some mistakes, gives us, more gifts and donations in the secondary. But yeah, even as good as Georgia is, and I'm not taking anything away from Georgia, Miami's lines on both sides are better than Georgia's. I don't think that that's really even up for debate. And I think that Georgia's are very good, but they're definitely not the monsters that they've been up front, in years past. They're very good. They're very good. They're very good. I take Miami's offensive line and I take Miami's defensive line. So, we will see. But yeah, this is a definitely interesting matchup. We're going to need to get the pressure on Chambliss. We're going to need to, make him uncomfortable and go make some plays.
What you were seeing, I believe, with Miami's offensive and especially defensive lines, and maybe I just note the defensive line a little bit more because when plays are made on the defensive front, they stand out versus the offensive line just doing its job over and over and over and over. It's not eye grabbing watching a football game, but to where you've got like top 20 level positional units, and then top 10, top 5, and then it sometimes there's distance there, and you think, well, this is a top 5 unit, but the 5th best in the country may decidedly be well behind the number 1 best in the country. And I think that's what we possibly have here.
I agree. Very well said. I agree. But yeah, no, accountability, that is a really great, y'all know that I'm a cerebral person, and you, like, my brain is definitely good. The hamster is on the wheel right now, man. This is a great point of conversation that you brought up. So thank you for that. Seriously.
This could also get some people thinking, and I will just, I'm not going to roll the video, of course, but I'll just kind of roll it in the background because there's all sorts of numbers and so forth. So as I've been doing throughout the entire playoff, I matched up Miami and Ole Miss in terms of all the national rankings, offense and defense, efficiency, and aggregates. And then I matched them up in regards to how they performed against one common opponent, the Florida Gators. Much different football games that are very much like these two teams. Miami just beat them down, dominated up front, beat them down. Ole Miss, it was kind of a shootout. Florida was in the game in Oxford with about 4 or 5 minutes left before Ole Miss finally put them away. Much more interesting, entertaining game. Lagway got to make some plays. They put up 24 points, 10-point win for the Rebels. And then I also put up the PFF numbers of the individual players on both sides of the football for Ole Miss and Miami. So you may want to check that out. I will maybe post the video here while we're continuing to discuss. And I'll say one thing here as well. And I've been a critic of Mario Cristobal. I don't think unfairly. It's not like I'm harping on him every week. He's obviously, aside even before this season, a capable football coach who's led teams to Rose Bowls and conference championships, and obviously done work at Miami that's lifted a 5-win team to a 10-win team back-to-back. But there have been his critics out there, and much of it has been justified. But it's an entire staff performance and staff effort, but obviously he's the guy that's put the staff together, and he's the guy accountable and responsible, and he is out coaching 2 fine coaching staffs thus far.
Imagine saying that 3 years ago. But it's true. And I've been giving Mario his due. He's been intractable about his view of rebuilding this program or building this program from the ground up, because we're not trying to get back, we're trying to be here for the present and future of college football. And yeah, he's made mistakes, some very, very, very big mistakes. I know people are watching and think, Georgia Tech. Yeah, I know, I was there. I was so mad in the post-game presser, I couldn't even speak. Literally, I couldn't do it. Because it was going to be bad. But he has done an outstanding job. He's gotten the right people in the right places doing the right work, and he's leading and directing that, and his impact has been incredible. The program has definitely taken on his mentality of just how to go about the work and, performing. And, what, people for many years here in Miami have said, whether it's Mark Richt or even going back before him, swagger isn't talking on the sideline. Swagger is whipping the guy's ass who's across from you on the field. And Miami's doing that. And, so credit to him for building this program and having the players perform to this level. Also, shout out to Cristobal for improving his own abilities and practices as a coach, right? He's not making the stupid timeout calls anymore. He's not making the game management errors of the past. Now, I know people will say he shouldn't have taken a timeout in the second quarter after Ohio State had a running play. We had our foot on their neck, and we were trying to get a 3-and-out, go get the ball and go score again, right? So people have been saying, well, conservative Cristobal and da-da-da-da. He made an aggressive call. And again, this is what I'm talking about, where you have to be comfortable with the decision now, not with what happens. But this decision in this moment, regardless of the outcome, you have to be okay with it. And he said, look, I'm going to make the aggressive call. And it didn't work. And okay, Ohio State missed a field goal. Great, right? But then people say, oh, well, he shouldn't have taken the timeout. Guys, everybody would have been screaming at Mario. They haven't done anything. We keep getting them off the field. They're shut out for the first time in the half of a bowl game since 1847 or whatever it was. You know what I mean? Like the dissension and just the vitriol for Cristobal, had he not called that timeout, would have been as loud as when he did. And it's just like, you can't have it both ways. But I give him credit for updating his process. We're going for it on more fourth downs, right? I know he's not full Dan Campbell, whom I love with my Detroit Lions, but you get what I'm saying. We're taking those shots but making those choices in those moments and being okay with the result. And it's not every single time, because we got screwed on a call where they took away a first down in the first half. And what did he do? Screamed at the referees and said, go punt the ball, because we're not going for it on 4th and 2 on our own 33-yard line. You know what I mean? Which was just an egregiously bad call. But yeah, no, he's done so much better. And for everyone that says, well, it's not perfect. Sometimes he calls timeouts in the first quarter, I never said it was perfect. But I believe a timeout in the first quarter, especially on defense, to get everybody settled, is better usage of timeouts and better game management than a panicked timeout early in the third quarter, because it's second half. Like, I know that you only get 3 a half and they're all valuable, but second half timeouts are infinitely more valuable than first half timeouts, if we're being real. So, he's done a really, really good job. I'm giving him his credit this year, for that better job that he's done. And I look forward to continuing.
I will find the PFF grades for the Miami offense and defense and run them by and see what do you think. Meanwhile, we'll check out Super Chat coming in from Paolo. We need to exercise those past Fiesta Bowl demons, which we know the obvious one, but the other one would be Arizona shut out Miami, correct? Like 1993?
There's not just one, my friend. There's I believe we're 0-5.
What?
Or 0-4 in the.
I got to start thinking about Fiesta Bowl games. Oh, well, there's the Penn State game. Yeah, there's
the Fatigues game, and there's another one also. Yeah. So Miami has won all of the other New Year's 6 bowls except for this one. And I was on State View looking for it. There are.
I know all my bowl games. I came up with 3. Where are the other ones? Oh, they lost to UCLA after 84, Jimmy Johnson's first year.
Sounds about right.
Yep.
Justin Tattavio actually wrote about that in his
39-37.
And there are a couple other spots
one.
too.
I'll get it. You have it in front of you?
No, it would be those 4.
Oh, those are the only 4?
No, this will be 5, I believe.
Okay.
Yeah,
I got them.
But yeah, so those would be the other 4.
84 UCLA, 39-37. We've got Penn State for the national championship, 14-10? Yes. Saw somebody post this week that Vinny Testaverde threw 7 picks in that. It was 5, but it was a lot of picks. And they weren't kidding. And then we got Teddy Bruschi and company with Arizona, shutout at the Fiesta Bowl with Arizona. And then we've got the national championship game in 02-03. Yeah.
Yep. Okay. All of those. PFF grades seem about right. Keionte Scott as cornerback 1 is a little, I get it from a ordinal standpoint of, making a list of okay, these are the top 3 graded corners. Clearly he plays nickel/slot. So, it's different where Lucas and O'Connor play outside. So he's more towards being a safety/linebacker-ish kind of a thing. But yeah, Bain and Mesdor, duh. Moton, huge. Justin Scott, I believe maybe that should be a 71, not a
Yeah.
371.
Yeah, I believe that it was 73 point whatever.
Okay.
Yeah.
And Toure seems low, honestly, especially in the playoffs, because he's been playing his best football. And Jacoby Thomas feels right, maybe a couple points low. And then Poyser, I mean, I think maybe a couple points low, but I mean, just in the aggregate, yeah, this is a really, really great performing defense and everything. So, yeah, but
So looking for the offense, I was surprised that the offensive line wasn't as high across the board, if I can find them. Huh. There they are.
yeah, I don't know what goes into their grades. I don't necessarily agree that Anez Cooper at 68.9. I think that McCoy should be a little bit higher, but also I would love to see what Samson Okunlola's was, because I believe he played more snaps than McCoy did against Ohio State. And then Markel Bell at 69.7 from the way that he's dominated his edge rushing pass protection abilities. Just don't see that as accurate either. But it is what it is, man. Yeah. We can line it up from all these different kind of statistical profile number, standpoints, but yeah.
And then also the obvious would be that, especially comparing the Miami defense to the Ole Miss defense, it's not even close. And I think that's justifiable. It makes sense. But this proves, obviously, Georgia better than Ole Miss and Ohio State rated higher than Miami. You got to go out there and play the game. So Miami is considered to be a better team according to PFF. But then again, the two losers were considered to be better teams. Right. As well.
Just like Keionte Scott said, too much talking on the net. Get on the turf and do something. And luckily, we've been able, the team has done that through this run. I'm very, very, very much looking forward to that in the game tomorrow. Straight butter. How do you grade how we've been refereed in the playoffs? Probably a B or a B plus. I would say a B. The thing that makes me rage up is it's been consistent both ways in both games. It has not been the typical Miami does a thing, opponent does the same thing, Miami gets penalized, and the opponent doesn't. Now, I'm not saying it's been perfect, clearly. Like, there have been some really, 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 really bad calls in both the A&M game and the Ohio State game. But, I heard you guys years ago where you said, don't talk about the refs so much. It seems like you're crying and they're carrying on. So I'm not talking that much about it. But, yeah, there were some calls that I think could have gone our way. I think that Ohio State got away with two really bad defensive, or not defensive, but pass interference penalties, one on Jeremiah Smith for a clear push off, and then one against, I don't even know what his name is, for a clear early contact down the field. I thought both of those were very, very clear, and they didn't call either of them. Didn't call us for anything, but also didn't think there were any marginal pass interference calls. The overturned, the scramble third down that was overturned, I thought that was a truly egregious call. But okay, these things happen. We move on. But yeah, it's really been a lot of letting them boys play both ways. And I'm cool with that. Look, I'm from Detroit. I grew up the original Bad Boys. I'm talking the Pontiac Silverdome with the gray home jersey Bad Boys, right? I remember every team I ever played on, the mantra was nothing free in the paint. That's how I grew up learning basketball. If you come in that paint, ain't nothing free. You think that, hey, cool. And if that's how you're reffing it at the Bishop Borges tournament, oh, say less. Cool. Then we going strong to the hole, 2 hands on the rock. I'm going, ain't no foul. Keep your foul because I'm going to make the layup, and then we're going to press you on the back end. So I'm fine with that. And in this instance, especially with the way that our defense is hitting people in the mouth, and I'm not saying that we're doing it outside of the rules, but if you want physicality to rule the day, come on with it, as long as you call it the same. And that's always been my biggest thing. And to the credit of both crews in our game so far, they have called the game the same on both ends for both teams. And that is such a relief because I'm so used to just getting screwed on calls. So I would grade them out as a B for the calls that were made, accepting and understanding that there were some really bad misses, but I would upgrade it to a B+ because it's been consistent for both teams all the way through, or in both games we played already.
Falconer, Ole Miss talking mad trash, saying Miami fans are low-class thugs.
I had to ask one of my friends not to send me any more of these things, tweets about this and whatnot. I don't care what they say. It's always going to be the same racist, reductive bullshit. Oh, well, I went to the SMU game and it was clear to see who's from Miami and who went to SMU with the wine and cheesers from Highland Park. Like, I went to Cranbrook and I stick out like a sore thumb when I go to on the north side of Dallas by SMU, which I used to when my mother lived out there. You know what I mean? Like, no, I don't need to hear anything about that. I know that they're talking so, and honestly, it's such poor commentary. Like, it's not even inside. It's not even funny. You know what I mean? Like, at least with, Florida State and Florida fans, there's a measure of, okay, like, there's some jokes in there and there's some facts in there and you can kind of da-da-da-da. With these Ole Miss people, it's just old racist hackney bullshit. I'm good off of that. Like, and look, they can say whatever they want to say. Like the Keionte Scott said, the 22 people on the turf going to do something, and we're going to line it up and see what it is. But like, yeah, I could care less. I could not, to be grammatically accurate. I could not possibly care less about what Ole Miss fans want to say about Miami's team, fan base, whatever. I don't care.
Yeah, when you see things like that, and I've not seen any of it, but I'm not a Miami fan for somebody to be, I'm not looking for it or whatever, but, I take your word for it. Obviously, it's out there. I'm sure it is that, for those people that believe they're taking some type of higher ground and they're showing that they are of low integrity is what they're showing, of low integrity, low human decency.
Yeah. And I mean, like, I'm going to stop myself there because I'm not going to stoop to their level. Although I am, look, I'm a grave digger, boy. Like, you go low and I go to the center of the earth. Like, I have no problem doing that. But like, why? Why am I going to waste my time? Like, I almost went there. Stop. Done. Period.
Cam Underwood, State of the U. And of course, this is our Canes Live show that we've done a zillion times on Wednesday night, 7 p.m. Eastern time with all of you, presented by FanDuel. And Miami's a 3.5-point favorite if you're into that sort of thing. And of course, both teams were underdogs last time out and pulled off the upset wins. Yeah, Canes by 3.5. Same point spread in the other semifinal game with Indiana favored over Oregon. 52.5 is your over-under for the Rebs and the Canes, and it should be an entertaining one. Absolutely. State of the U. Yeah,
plenty of great stuff up there. Ole Miss tuition is cheap versus the U. I mean, mine is a private school, which we all know. Lots of great stuff up there. We continue to pump out just a metric ton of great content. I'm very, very proud of our contributing staff on this run through the playoffs because, the site is going on the playoff run for the first time ever, just like the team is. So very, very proud of them. Up this evening, we have the top 5 Canes that Craig T. Smith would bring back to the roster for the Fiesta Bowl. We have our Jordan Lopez Fiesta Bowl game preview. I wrote the keys to victory. You have Jake Marcus, I already told you, wrote about, basically don't panic about the portal. We have our story streams for both the college football playoff, which has been ongoing since we made the playoff, and National Signing Day, also still up there on the front page of stateoftheu.com. Basketball content, Justin Perez talking about Miami going to Wake Forest and looking for their 8th straight win. Matchups of the week for the Fiesta Bowl from Jordan Lopez. Film forecast in 2 parts again by Justin DeTavio, and so much more for the low, low price of free. Please come on over and fan with us, stateofu.com. I'm really, really, blessed and highly favored to be able to run this as a passion project and interact with you guys and share my outlook and viewpoint on Miami Hurricanes athletics with some of my best, they've become my best friends as contributors, to the site. But I've been doing this for a good long time, and it is really, really, really fulfilling. I really, just appreciate each and every one of you. So go there, like and subscribe this video as well. But yeah, we got all of that and plenty, plenty, plenty more. So go check it out for yourself and see if you like it.
Again, yes, as Cam said, please like and subscribe. You enjoy the content in the show here each and every week, the least you could do. So we do appreciate the like and the subscribe buttons being pushed. And we will see you back here next Wednesday.
I am going to stay and just run through a couple of things because I saw there were a couple extra questions. So I'm going to stay. You guys don't got to go. Mark, appreciate you. Yeah,
Thanks,
exactly.
So, see you. Good luck on Thursday night, 24 hours away.
Yes, sir. Thanks, all right. Going to get to some of these chats in here. I saw that you guys did have some questions. Let me move myself to the middle of the screen with that one. Andy Mack, is there any transfer portal clarification in regards to players leaving immediately? Not trying to count chickens, but if we win and play IU, can Brock Schott the tight end, play Fredo and read us out? He is no longer with this organization. I believe he is over there now. So it is what he wants to do, how he wants to do it. Oh no, I went away. There I go. Sorry. I'm gonna stop messing with it. But yeah, he gone, and it is what it is. So we had to deal with that because one of our front office director of player personnel kind of guys, Taylor Edwards, left from here to take a job at Florida State in their front office. So I'm sure we've had to change some things up just from an operational standpoint there. And obviously, if we go to IU. If we play Indiana in the national championship game, then we would change up our signals and things like that. But it is what it is. Chris Bradford, the thing I wish was different about our offense, we're so deadly efficient that if we don't consistently score touchdowns, the scores don't match. Bingo, bango, bongo. I agree. Ruthless efficiency needs to end with touchdowns. I very much agree. Dirty Kane Thang says we're going to have 5 sacks this week or this game against Ole Miss. I mean, yeah, if you tell me we're going to have 5 sacks, then I tell you that we're going to win. I think there's a pretty direct correlation there. Only player who did well for Ohio State was Jeremiah Smith, and he's from, pretty much. Like, I know that they did get some decent rushing numbers, but like if I go Bo Jackson, it was 3, -2, 8-1, and then on one drive, 7-6, 18-3, and then a touchdown. Okay. But then the 7-6, 18, that's 13, that's 31 on 3 carries. All right. And then 4 and 6 on his final 2 carries. CJ Donaldson, if I click on him, because I have the stats open from the previous game. Sorry, I have to close that panel before I go to CJ Donaldson. He had 12 on his first carry, then 4, 4, 4, 2, 1, 4. So that was 12. 8 is 8, 6, 7, 18. So there's like 4 good runs. Now I know a lot of them came in close succession, but like even of their 86 gained rushing yards, half of them came on like a very few number of their carries. But it was mostly the JFO show. But yeah. Mr. Akabulan. Keon Keeley don't want to visit. He's the next Jalen Phillips type of guy. I don't know. But I'm going to trust this process. We are focused on the playoffs right now, man. And there's enough time. There's guys who are just entering the portal, like, the Devin Williams from Washington. And I know that Washington's going to say that they're not going to put him into the portal because he has a signed rev share deal and da-da-da-da-da. I get it. But the portal can wait. We're 60 minutes away from playing for a national championship. If that's not the number one focus, then I don't know what to tell you. Ohio State players are losers, saying if we played Miami 9 times out of 10, we'll win. Yeah, absolutely. That was asinine, ridiculous bullshit. It wasn't a fluke. Like even Mark said, like we beat them up. It was just physically dominant. Why are we targeting Omar Thornton? We have Bryson Poyser because you need the best players you can get. And if you get a guy who you think can play here, then you go get him. Jackson Johnson, what's up now? Dirty Kane thing. Yeah, Ohio State was the better team until they played us. Facts. And we got them in that deep water. Here. Let me get to some more of these questions. Queen City GFBT 3380. Fletcher running through Sonny Styles' face was beautiful to see. You damn right it was. I'm being too nice. I was being too nice. I thought I was just focused on myself. Yeah, oh well. So be it. Deuce Atlanta Kane saying, it was the Scott pick 6. He almost passed out during that. All right. Okay. Heard, man. Keionte Scott had OSU fans like, man, we're gonna lose. Okay. Hey, I have my one. You have the other one. That's fine. Plus, Keionte looked at their sideline for about 30, 40 yards plus the pose. I still think the Bandy was more iconic, but the Keionte was it was elite. I'm splitting hairs, but like again, my choice would be the Bandy, but it was. Had the Guru. I'm the conspiracy guy. That Keionte pick was elite film study or was scripted. Elite film study is what that was. Chris Bradford, interesting conversation. For the program, it's Scott's pick 6 versus Ed Reed's return touchdown on the interception off of Mike Rump's knee and Matt Walters' belly against Boston College. Now, that is an interesting conversation. Let us see. Miami made Carnell Tate have alligator arms. Yeah, he didn't want the smoke. Yeah, he didn't want it. And they don't want it how we want it. Dog. I'm not going to tear up like I did on the after the A&M game, but a halftime speech from Bain, brothers, sisters, friends, and fellow countrymen. That was something special. Quick question on the rules. Can we sub if they run tempo? If we get players on and off the field in time, or no, only if they sub. You can sub whenever you want to. They do not have to hold the snap if Ole Miss doesn't sub. So, okay, here we go. 12 or 15-yard completion, boom, they're on the ball. You can sub who you want to, right? But if Ole Miss doesn't sub, they can snap the ball whenever. So it's incumbent upon you to get the on-field, off-field. Now, if they sub, the center judge comes in and they have to hold the snap to give you a chance to be able to sub, right? But you can substitute whenever you want to after any play of the ball game. It's just, are you going to be able to get that transition and get aligned up and only have 11 on the field between, in the field of play before or at the time of the snap. So that's the thing. But yeah, we can sub anytime we want to. And bear in mind, you can only sub your sideline. The players can only be between the 20s, right? So depending on where your defense, where they're standing, that also has an impact on the ability to change, because you can, so if, let's say this hypothetical 12-yard completion goes from the 35 to the 47, almost to midfield, and your defense is clustered up at the 35-yard line, right? So now I got a defensive lineman running from the 35 to midfield to go get in, and I can have somebody come straight off the field. But you know what I'm saying about you see what I'm saying? So yeah, but you can substitute anytime you want to. But if you get caught, it's a penalty, as somebody said. Had the Guru, Indiana's the only team that can deal with us. The team we're concerned with right now are Ole Miss, or is Ole Miss. We're going to just deal with that. any of the other commentary and conversation, trust it'll be up on SaveWithYou.com, and we will even have it right here. But like, yeah, I'm just focused on the game in front of us. Go 1-0. That's been the mantra. That's been the focus. That's it. Do I see Miami subbing Bain and Mesidor to keep them fresh if Ole Miss goes to a fast tempo? I believe so. I think that we're going to try this. But again, that's also dependent on the play count, right? We didn't have to against USF because we were getting USF off the field quickly in that game, right? Another team who wants to go tempo, wants to see success, and then success breeds success because you need to get a first down before you can go tempo. You can't just go, 3 and out in 8 seconds. You know what I mean? So that's really the underlying structure is a first down or a chunk play, and now we start to go. I think pending snap counts, obviously, yeah, they're going to try to steal a snap here and there. I am hopeful this week that they try to give one or the other a breather at a time, not both, because those moments against Ohio State were not very comfortable for me emotionally, even though like the guys who were out there ended up making plays, whether it was Third Scroggins, Marquise Lightfoot at edge, whoever off the bench at defensive tackle or in that rotation. I would just like to see one of 3 or 4 on the field at all times. That would be my personal preference, but we will see. Let's see. Anything else? In 8 Mile, he said Cranbrook. Yeah, I know. I went there. Honestly, true. One of these days, I'm going to bring my diploma in here, or my yearbook or something, because do I have here? No, they're out in the other room. But no, I literally went to Cranbrook. It's a private school. Okay. Yeah, he did. I mean, they got their ass whooped. But then he's it wasn't really but we dominated them, and we talked about it at the top of the show. So if you're just now catching up about Mark, talking about that, the Ohio State losing to Miami, we did it up top. Had the Guru concerned about missing sacks. This is where I'm talking about the rush plan being different for Trinidad Chambliss, which we did in this same kind of different formation against other mobile quarterbacks. Both this year and previously. You just have to change how you rush, where you rush, when you rush, all those different kind of things. Daniel Alfonso, appreciate you. The way Mario was describing Ole Miss in the interview, he's definitely rabid about complacency and avoiding rat poison, an emotional win from last game. Go Canes. First of all, appreciate the super chat. Thank you so much for rocking with us. And yeah, Mario, this is what Mario has talked about since he's been here, about focusing on being 1-0, and it's some old school, the real old school verbiage gets in there every now and then. It's what a man does, and this is how a man acts and whatnot. But he believes it to its core. You know what I mean? And that Marcus ball, man ball, and this is how that's what it is. We're not focused on anything else. When you heard Carson Beck today, or whenever it was that he was asked, yeah, well, your stats have been lower and blah, blah. I said, the only stat I'm concerned about is that dub. Going 1-0 every week, winning the game is the stat that I care about. Love that. O'Connor is too small to play nickel, too thin maybe. He's 6'3". He's not too small. Tone. Is it me or Carson still hasn't recovered from last offseason because he doesn't push the ball downfield at all? Texas A&M and Ohio State specifically schemed their defense not to allow space for vertical throws. The first play of the game, go back and watch it. I have it on my DVR. I know that you guys do too, and it's up on YouTube and many places where you can go and scroll. We called a shot play on the first play of the game. And Carson sat there and patted the ball and then threw a check down. Why? Because Ohio State said, you're not getting a blur on us. We're making you. That's what Ohio State's defense was built to do. constructed to do. The paradigm was, we're going to make you walk down the field 12, 13, 14, 15 plays and go score. We don't think you can do that. And by you, I mean anybody, right? So they're playing cover 2, cover 3 shell deeper than the deepest. Do not allow a vertical shot. That's foundational to how they run their defense. And Texas A&M said the same thing because they thought that they could play with us in a phone booth. We saw that work. But with teams, when they see Miami going to vertical concepts, because we run this air raid passing scheme, right? When they see that we go to those concepts, they say, turn and run. Don't let them behind you. Don't do it, right? Because when you step up, Florida State happens. Blue, blue. Remember that? So I say, hey, no, we've seen it. Don't allow that to happen. So I'm actually very happy that Carson Beck has been taking these intermediate throws and checkdowns instead of just randomly YOLOing it down the field and turning the ball over. Because these other teams saying, we will give you the nickel and dime. We're not going to give you the dollar up top. So I don't agree with you that he hasn't recovered or anything. And he's made some very big throws. And some of those intermediate throws take as much arm strength as some of these deep throws where you can kind of float it and let the, arc of the ball do the work. No, I think that he's very much fully recovered. I think that you saw that through the last 5 weeks of the regular season, that he's very much fully recovered. But when teams say, you're not going to take this against us, no matter what, because we called off schedule shot plays too, by the way, right? Not in you get a chunk play first down now because you're reeling, let's go. We didn't call them always there on second and short, where you can just probably turn around and run it on 3rd and 1 if we miss. Those are shot opportunities all the time. We didn't only call shot plays in shot play moments, but they're so scared of Malachi Toney and making a mistake, and all of a sudden Joshua Moore, CJ Daniels, Keelan Marion, getting up top. They're saying, we're not going to allow that. So take something else. And Carson Beck has done that. So yeah. Accountability. What kind of game plan can they have with a part-time offensive staff? Don't care. Does not my circus, not my monkey. Let's go Kings. If Miami wins the national championship, will I cry? 10,000%. Absolutely. Absolutely. Most egregious thing was Caden Curry say they win 9 times out of 10. Yeah, that was just ridiculous. Beck has been elite on 3rd downs versus elite opposition. I agree. And last thing that I'm going to put up here, last thing, Charles Johnson, shout out to Malachi Toney, number 10 for the first 1,000-yard receiving season by a true freshman in Miami Hurricanes history. Yes, indeed. Continues to extend his own freshman receiving record at the U. And he's going to be one of the players who I'm looking at to make plays tomorrow night. So as we wrap up with 509 on here, your homework is this. Number 1, like. Number 2, subscribe. Number 3, you see it right here below me, stateoftheu.com. Please come on over and fan with us. We have so much great content. We're going to have the game thread up. We're going to have all of our post-game content. We're always here. You know that every single day, every single week, every single game, everything. It has been a true joy to be on this journey with everybody. I am super excited to see what our Hurricanes do tomorrow night in the Fiesta Bowl. So be sure that you tune in, and we'll see you guys next week. Appreciate you. Take care. And most importantly, go Canes.